Oh. You know what sucks? Yard work. Pruning bushes. Said I would never buy a house with bushes, and I have 5 now. Started with 20, but still. Bush pruning is not fun. Anyway, welcome back to another episode of Tubby Time. Thank you for joining in. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a series. So this is part 2 of the I Got a Smoker series. If you haven't checked out part 1, be sure to do so. I will put a link. But now we are back at the smoker. Just got this today. I did some modifications to it, which I go over in the other video. So be sure to check that out. Like I said, we're going to look at the modifications, see how they're holding up, see what the results were, and then we're going to actually season the smoker. So it's going to be sort of a longer video, but I want to go through everything with you guys and show you in real time, sort of. One disclaimer, like I said in the other video, I'm new to smoking. So if you're a newbie, just like me, and you want to see me screw up things and learn from my mistakes, this is the video to watch. And I'm sure I already have some. So without further ado, let's look at the modifications we did in the last video, and then we will get to seasoning. All right, so the first thing is looking around the lid here, you don't actually see much silicone. This silicone is supposed to take 24 hours to cure, I guess. There's a little bit right there on the edge and up top here. The silicone's supposed to take 24 hours. I'm impatient, which is great because I got an offset smoker. But anyway, let's open it up. Yeah, not the prettiest thing, but it looks to be doing its job. We will see how this turns out when we get to the actual seasoning process. But the cover is sitting pretty flat now. Still in this side, there's a little bit of a gap. You'll see it probably when we start seasoning. I don't know how to fix that, unfortunately, so we'll see how that turns out. And same here. I actually did this whole thing. I wasn't going to do the back as we saw before, but it's not looking bad. I don't mind it. A little sloppier with the silicone on this side. We got our trays in place here, or pails, I should say, our grease pans there. And our thermometer, I actually noticed, has gone up to whatever that is, maybe 80 something degrees. It's currently like 85 out, 86, and it's humid. So to see that go up throughout the day as this thing has been sitting in sort of direct sunlight is sort of a cool thing to see. So we'll see how accurate it is once we actually cook something eventually or start the seasoning process. So the seasoning process is sort of a tedious thing, but you have to do it. The reason we season anything, just like we season the Blackstone griddle when we got it, is because you want to allow the metal to resist water. And you might be saying, well, it's undercover. You're just going to be cooking meat in here. Well, yeah, but there's moisture that can get into the smoker from cooking the meat and from other elements that are outside of our control. Water has a way of getting into everything, so we want to make sure we season this beautifully, evenly, and protect it from all Mother Nature can bring. I did also get a cover for it, which I'll be using probably just in the winter time. Having it under cover here seems pretty fine, so I don't plan on using that much. But let's talk about the seasoning process a little bit. Now, I've seen many videos of how to do the seasoning process. The common thing, just as you season a cast iron skillet or you season a griddle, is you coat the thing in oil and heat it up and let it cook off and burn and do its thing. For this particular instance, I did see some advice that said you have to wash it first. And I'm not saying like wash it with, a pressure washer or any of that stuff. Just the inside of the griddle. We're recommending you wash it. And the reason, I just said griddle. It's going to be a learning curve. The inside of the smoker. And I'll show you why. So as you can see here, there is, I don't know how well you can see it down there, but there's sort of like an oily substance on there from the manufacturing process. A little bitter up here. But if I touch there, I'm leaving handprints. Now, the seasoning process will take a lot of that. Ooh, get that out of there. We'll take a lot of that off. Oof, it's stuck. But what we want to do is we want to actually wash this down a little bit on the inside. So we are taking a mild dish soap, Dawn, is what I'm going to use, and we're going to wash everything on the inside first before we do anything. The grates, the cover, we're not going to worry about the outside. We don't need to do that. I will probably dust the outside down just because it has gotten some crap on it from the pollen. So we'll do all that, and then we will get to the actual oil application. I should mention before I do anything, this stuff, the modifications we made, have been sitting here for about 5 hours now. So they're more than dry enough. This stuff had, the cover's been down. I left the cover open for about an hour to let the silicone get less tacky, and then closed it up, let the pieces of fabric bind to the grill itself, and I think we're safe to start. I could be wrong, but like I said, I'm impatient. So I have my bucket here and a microfiber cloth or two. Now, big thing, you don't want to use anything abrasive for this. You don't want to scratch any finishes on the inside. So I'm just going to go through, start with the grates, and then go on the inside. Maybe I used a little too much soap. I'm not pushing too much here. I'm just trying to do a nice coating. Just try to get everything off. Much easier down here with this. There's a little bit of stuff coming off. All right, the inside's pretty much done. This coating of soap, I'll probably rinse that off too at some point. Let's move over to the firebox. This thing is a pain to take out. There we go. Need a little bit of muscle, which I don't have. This is just where the logs sit. Ooh, that one's dirty. Not that that really matters, because that's not going to affect our food at all. It's just where all the ashes fall. Sorry if I'm blocking the camera. I'm trying not to. All right. Everything's washed. Just put my grill grates over here to let them soak up some sun. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to wipe it down quickly with some water to get some of the soap off. Just got some water here. Quick rub. Of course, I used hot water on a hot day. Another great thing about this is you can tell if your drip pan is in the right place and your smoker is uneven, which is a good thing. Now the wheels obviously allow it to be uneven, but you can tell if it's actually going to drain correctly, which it looks like it is. One thing I can tell is going to be an issue if water ever gets in is that point right there. Obviously, because of the wheels being uneven, all the grease, not that we're going to be cooking anything in there unless you use it as a grill. You can use the firebox as a grill with that grill grate, which is sort of cool. But if you use it, the greases are going to go that way, so it's imperative that you clean it out when you're done. So that's about it for now. We need to let this air dry a little bit before we do anything else. So I feel like a pile of crap. I'm going to go in, shower, and then I will come back out all sparkling clean and probably intoxicated. Stay tuned. All right, we're back. It's been about an hour and a half. I showered, got into my good clothes, made dinner, was fat. So plenty of time for the water to dry out. So the next step is the actual oiling part. And how do we do that? Well, very simple. There's actually two ways you can do it. You can use oil and rub it down with a rag, but the way I've seen that I think is much easier is actually using a spray. I have some Pam canola oil blend, but this basically has canola oil, coconut oil, palm oil, whatever. You want to have something that doesn't have any flour in it. So we want something with a high smoke point. You don't really want to use extra virgin olive oil. You want something that can take the heat. Extra virgin olive oil doesn't do that. It's more for like salads and marinades and stuff. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to coat every single part of this smoker on the inside, not the outside, just the inside. I was debating putting some oil on the outside. Right now it just doesn't sound like a good idea because of all the pollen and stuff that's in the air. I don't want to do that. I did wipe it down. It's looking great. The water that was in here is still a little bit there. It's not that bad, but we're gonna burn in there, so it doesn't matter. Most of the stuff that was on here, it's not as tacky anymore. It's still a little tacky. I'm just gonna have to get over it. But I'm gonna go, oh, and I put the grates back in. You guys need to see that. I also figured out what the issue with this grate was down here. There's a little metal piece that's sticking out, so you sort of have to bang it in. It's actually leaving a little bit of a mark there. Nothing that some good old-fashioned handiwork can't fix. And that's the cool thing about this particular smoker. It's not mass-produced. You know, it's handmade, it's welded, it's all one piece, it looks great. You don't have to worry about all that crap that comes with putting your own smoker together, and I'm good. So, from top to bottom, we're going to go down, coating everything we possibly can on the inside of this smoker. And we don't want to drench it, but we don't want to be lame either. So, starting up at the top, just like so. I'm probably going to go through this entire can. I'm going to get covered in oil. Great. I take this grate out just so I can see better. So that's what it's looking like. If you can see it on camera, you got some drippage, that's fine. Not a big deal. Also, you have fumes that are rising. You can see it a little bit. We want to let this sit for about 15 minutes before we do anything, and that's going to give us more than enough time to get our charcoal going anyway, so we're going to do that. But let's get the firebox next. All right, looking pretty coated. My hands are disgusting. Do a little in the chimney. Got a little bit left that Kayla can use for something. I'm gonna let this sit, and then I'm gonna go wash my hands too, because my hands are covered, and we'll be right back. All right, so I have your typical standard bag of Kingsford, the original. We're gonna pour it into our charcoal chimney. I'm very curious to see how this fork works out that I have. That's everything. Perfect. Now we're going to plug our fork in. What I find sort of neat about this fork is it comes with a tray you can put it on. Not sure if that's standard or not, but it is what it is. And as you can see here, our oil is dripping out. It means we covered it pretty well. So we're going to wait for this fork to warm up and for the fumes to escape the smoker here. Still looking good. And we will be back with more. All right, we had a little bit of a technical issue. My outdoor outlet stopped working. Not sure why. But this thing is nice and hot. Let's get it into here. If I can do that. You're supposed to pour the charcoal in beforehand. That might be the reason. Let it sit like that until it's ready. So that took way longer than expected, but it's finally going. This charcoal starter did all right. I'll use it again. Did have to move it a few times. But as you can see, we have some good fire going, good heat off this. So we're going to dump it in here. And basically, I'm just going to let that go a little bit until I feel comfortable, and then we'll put some logs on. Actually, you know what? I might put some logs on now. I don't know. Let's try it. So I wasn't exactly the most prepared with this. I don't have a log splitter. I don't have a saw. I don't even have a hand saw. So I'm using little pieces of oak that I got when our wood was delivered. I have a whole stack of wood over there that's oak and hickory and maple. And I sorted it out. But we have these little things here. So we're going to try to put those on, see what they do. I'm just going to leave this open until they catch. I want to get the smoke a little bit cleaner than this, I think. So I just want to leave it open, let those catch. Let me open the side up. give you a close-up of what's going on here. The logs aren't catching yet. Maybe I need to reposition them. Once again, I'm new to this. I don't know what I'm doing. But I just want to let that stay there until the logs actually catch. I just saw a UPS truck go by, and it is 7 o'clock p.m. So I want to give a quick shout out to anyone watching that works for the Postal Service, UPS, FedEx, DHL, any of the mail carriers. Keep up the great work, guys. I mean, I used to work for the Postal Service back in the day, and I do not miss that job whatsoever. And you guys are working. I can't even understand what you're going through right now. I thought peak was bad. Yeah. So we appreciate it. Thank you for your service. Keep up the good work. And now we got some clean smoke. Just, well, not as clean as I'd like it to be, but pretty clean. The logs are catching. So I'm about ready to close this bad boy up, and we will come back in about an hour and see what's going on. I want to let this run for 3 hours just about. I'm going to keep the airflow all the way open, see what temp I can get it up to, and sort of screw around with it a little bit. Alrighty, folks, we are about an hour into the seasoning process. I'm very happy. I'm extremely happy, and I'm going to tell you why. First off, let's look at the smoke. We're getting a nice clean smoke. It's looking really good. Temperature right now, we're looking at just over 275. Taking a look at the firebox, it's burning very clean. Got a lot of ash down there. And I got our wood resting for when we put some more on, which is going to be momentarily. So let me talk about what I've found so far with this. First of all, as you notice, there's no smoke coming from the edges. When we first started, there was a shit ton of smoke coming out. I understand that the gasket hasn't had time to settle, which that's going to happen over the next few days. So it's not like I'm going to be using this tomorrow. This is going to be sitting out here for probably the next 4 to 5 days before I actually cook anything on it, because I have to go back to work. So it's going to have plenty of time to settle, and it should settle in shortly. The grease has stopped dripping, as far as I know. We actually have some caked on burnt grease down there. The smoke at first was extremely dirty. It didn't look good at all, and I was waiting for it to become clean. It finally became clean after about, I would say, 25 minutes, and that's just because of all of the crap that's coming out of the smoker that was there that we're burning off. You know, all the oil and all that good stuff is coming out, and we're replacing it with clean heat, clean smoke. It's looking good. So we're going to let this go. I'm losing daylight. I don't even know how dark this camera is right now. So I'm going to put 2 more logs on the fire. I'm just using these splits, like I said. Just using those splits. Those were left over from when I was sorting wood the other day. I've been maintaining a temperature of about between 250 and 275. One thing I noticed, and this is why I said every smoker is different before, the seasoning process allows you to understand how your smoker works. So if we look at the door, I have it open right now. I've seen many videos of people saying, you know, leave the door open. That works best for me. Key word is it works best for them. What I found when I had the door open, I was losing a ton of heat and smoke, and it was just going away. And the temperature was dropping substantially. When I closed the door and opened the dampers up about halfway is when I retained the most heat. So I'm going to keep experimenting with that as time goes on here. And if that works for me, that might be the way I have to use my smoker. Maybe I can't leave the door all the way open because it's just not going to work. But the airflow is looking good. There's barely any smoke. Before, I thought the neighbors were going to call the fire department on me because it was pretty bad. And that would be embarrassing. So let's put some more logs in and see how it goes. Got a nice bed of coals there. That one log started right away. That's a good sign. And we got some smoke, but it's pretty clean for the most part. It's actually looking really good. It's always a good sign when you got fire starting right away when you throw some logs on. And that's pretty good. Temperature has dropped a little bit, but not too much. It's still around the 250 mark. And I don't know if you can see, we got some smoke leaking out in the sides. To be expected. One thing that's really impressing me, nothing's coming out down here. Well, a little bit now. A little tiny bit. But before I didn't see anything, especially when the smoke was dirty. So we'll let this go for another hour. We'll do another check-in. I'm just going to keep watching it and see what happens. So we've run out of daylight. It's been another hour, just about. And I've been experimenting a little bit with the smoker, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't. I put some really split, crappy wood on there just to see what it would do. And it actually started right away. It was clean burning, and then it started smoldering. So I was just curious to see what would happen if I did that, because they always say use, nice cuts of wood and that are not too big or too small, whatever. So interesting to see what happens in that case. I'm going to let it go for another hour probably, and I'm going to then open it all up, let it air out, let it burn out throughout the night, and I don't really have to do anything else. I'll come out in the morning, shut it down, etc., etc. I'm pretty happy with what's gone on, though. I have no idea if you can see that, but we are holding steady. Farthest temperature I've got it up to so far has been about 315, just about. So, yeah, I got some more wood I'm going to throw on. I'll let you look in the firebox. Burning pretty clean right now. Last but not least, I want to give you a look inside. Everything is nice and dark. I have no clue. Once again, if you can see that, I'm using my phone camera here, or my phone light. But everything's looking dark. Dark, nice, and seasoned. So I'm pretty happy about that. It's looking good. Hopefully the experimentation I did with the dirty smoke didn't screw anything up. I'll be looking at the firebox too. I don't know why I'm using light. A lot of that oil's burned off up top there. You can see that spot. That's okay. But there's the firebox looking good. That ashtray is amazing. I love it so far. There are two things I've noticed just in the first experimentation with this thing. The first is that the firebox gets really hot, like extremely hot. Everything, that should go without saying. But thank God they have those heat handles, the heat preventer, what do you call them? Safe handles, cold handles, whatever, with the metal around them. So that's pretty cool. That allows you to open that up. But you touch anything else, you're going to sear your hand off. The other thing I'm very curious about, I don't know if I mentioned it before, if you stand back here, you can see fire in there. And that's where the lid meets the edge of the smoker, or edge of the firebox. So I don't think that was me. I don't think that was from the modifications I did. That might have got bent during shipment, which sort of annoys me. I don't know though. I don't think I'm losing much heat from it. I've burned small logs all night, and I've gone through about 6 of them. So that's really not too bad, I would say, for 3 hours of just sitting here smoking. But I don't know. So we'll experiment with that a little bit. So yeah, I'm going to throw 2 more logs on. I'll let you see that, and then I will be basically done for the night. I got a big chunk in there. We'll see how it goes. Probably a chunk I'd be using most typically. So, all right, 1 more hour. We'll come back and close it up, or open it up. I mean, that's probably better saying. Alrighty, last hour is complete. Wood is just about burned, sort of. I'm sorry if this camera is shitty because we're outside and it's dark. So let's take a quick look at the fire pit. Still burning pretty well, but should be out shortly. Probably going to have some wood left over, I would assume, just a little bit, and we'll take that out tomorrow. So final step here, what we're going to do is we're going to open everything up, let everything burn out, and we'll take a final look at the smoker. There is the smoke is a little bad, and I hope it doesn't screw anything up. I don't think it will, but if there's any experts out there that watch this video to this point, A, thank you, and B, let me know. So we're just opening everything up. We're going to let it sit until the morning, and then in the morning I'm going to clean it off. Hey guys, it's the next day. I just wanted to make a quick video since we had no lighting last night. The smoker's looking pretty good. So you have the inside. You can see much better now because it's not dark out. But you have a nice gloss on there. It's looking really good. Inside's all coated. Bunch of ashes in there. One little unburnt piece. It's been a long day. Thank you for joining me. And I hope you got something from this video. If you're new, you got to see my process and what I do, even though I have no clue what I'm doing. So please, if you like the video, drop a like, comment, subscribe. We really appreciate any support you can give us. And until next time, stay safe. Once again, thanks for watching, and we will see you soon.